guys, how are you? Today I don't have anything big or inspirational or themed to share with you. I'm just gonna do some personal things, some updates, and I'm also going to do an unboxing of something that I bought. And it wasn't the jar boxes that I mentioned last week, so we can start with that, I guess. So I ordered this a couple months ago and I got the wrong size. So I had to return that one and get a new one. See if that works. Aha! Alright, here it comes. It is an Instant Pot. This is an extra stainless steel inner one, and this one is it should be the 5-quart. I ordered a 6-quart because I thought I had a 6-quart pot, and I actually have a 5-quart pot. So I got an extra one of these, and I'm gonna show you guys some accessories that I use and how I plan on using a second pot, because you wouldn't think you would need 2 of them, and you don't need 2 of them, but they are nice to have, and I'm going to tell you why here in a little bit. I think I'll just leave that right. There we go. Alright. So beautiful, and I think it'll fit perfectly. So this is my new, and I could not find any 5-quart pots on the on Amazon. So I actually had to go to the Instant Pot website and order this, and it was decently hard to find. So I'm pretty happy about this. Now the way I'm going to use 2 pots is I'm going to take one of them, and okay, my long-term goal is to do all of my cooking in 30 minutes or less every day, which is just an enormous goal. But part of the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to assemble everything all at once. So there's going to be like the prep work, and I'll probably end up doing one prep job every day, and then the assembling of all of the meals all at once, hopefully. So what I'll do is I'll get lunch ready in one of these pots and put it in, you can see back there, in the actual pot, I guess you'd call it. So fill up one of these inner pots, put it in the heating element, and then get that going. And while that's going, I'm going to load up another one of these with dinner. And what you can do is you can buy these silicone lids and then just pop the lid on and then stick this in the fridge, and it's all ready to go. So then after lunch, so you're done cooking lunch in the Instant Pot. After you're done with lunch, you can put the pot in the dirty pot in the sink, reload it with this thing that you prepared the morning or night before, and then you can set the timer button on there. So it'll start cooking at, in however many hours you want it to cook. Or you can use the slow cooker function, which might be safer depending on what kind of food you have in here. Anyway, so that's kind of my grand scheme. I'm going to see if it works. It's going to involve, I have to have my dinner meals be pretty much crock pot meals, or something that can be cooked all in one in the Instant Pot. So that's going to be a little bit of a planning challenge there, but then also just, I don't know, just having such a short time amount to work with, but I like it. I don't know, I'm pretty excited about this. And I also, for those of you who don't know, I also have a bigger Instant Pot. So I've got one, the one behind me is a 5-quart, and that I use for regular like everyday food meals, so lunch and dinner. And then I have a bigger one that's an 8-quart, and I use that for prep tasks. So if I'm, going to cook a bunch of chicken broth, I'll do it in that pot. Or if I'm cooking, I don't know what else you cook in there, like boiled eggs or baked potatoes, or something that's not a meal that we're going to eat right away, I put it in the bigger pot. So that way I've always got an open pot to use, one for cooking, one for prep work. So that's the other part of my plan.
I can't abandon my cocoa here. I almost, in the excitement of the new pot, I almost forgot about my cocoa. So, the other things what I'm reading right now, I am reading this book. It's called, I should probably cover that. It's called We Had Everything But Money, and it's a book with different stories from people that lived through the Great Depression, and these stories are so good. And here's how good this book is. My husband said, we have to buy this book. This is a really good book. And he's not all that much of a reader, so it says a lot for that. And I'm really loving that. Really inspired. I actually made, let me pause this so I can show you what I made.
I made an ugly sock for our toddler. And here's why it's ugly, okay? I'm admittedly not the best knitter, but I am an even worse yarn spinner. This is wool that actually came from one of my mom's sheep. Way back in the day we had sheep. And so some of the wool went to a friend of mine who a couple years ago I had her fiber animals here at our little hobby farm. And so she gave me some of this wool and a drop spindle to spin yarn with. And that was so much fun. But, so I spun some really bad yarn, and this was the really bad yarn that I spun. And I don't know how well you can see that. So what happened was the very first yarn that I tried on this drop spindle was like super, super thick. It was, what is it about as thick as? About as thick as this seam ripper here. And you can see that as some really, really thick yarn. So that's how it started, because that was when I was a very, very poor spinner. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll work with this, I'm going to cast on so many stitches, and then I did the ribbing, the knit purl ribbing, which you can kind of see. And then when I got to the heel, at that point was the point that I figured out how to spin, because everything got really, really small, and it was all uniform from there. So, like, you can kind of tell this looks a lot more, this part is just a lot more prettier than this really ugly chunky part. So I was inspired to knit a sock, and I knitted about the ugliest sock that I've ever seen. But I did knit a sock, and part of it was just to see if I could remember how, and I did remember how. It wasn't too bad. And this is just a very simple, very, very simple design. Because like I said, I'm not the best knitter ever. But I was inspired to do that, and I also started on like some mittens without a thumb for our little girl. They're going to be beautiful when I'm done with them. But, so I was really inspired to do some knitting and some sewing after reading that book. So that is, again, I'll show it to you here. That is a really good book to check out from the library if you don't have it. The other book that I'm actually listening to on audio is called Susie, and it's a biography about Susanna Spurgeon, which is really interesting. So, like, my goal is to do, I've got a whole list of biographies that I'd like to read, specifically those of Christian women. So I'm kind of working through those one by one, but the audio is really nice because I can sit there and listen to the book while at the same time knitting ugly socks. So that's really helpful. If you aren't into audiobooks yet, they're I don't know, they're a godsend to me because I just don't have as much time as I used to sit down and read. So that's the other book that I'm reading. What else here? So, cloth diaper update. I think the last update I did was a couple months ago. And I don't know if I told you guys, I started using flats, and a flat is just a flour sack towel, which is a really thin piece of cotton that's like pretty big, and then you fold it up in what's called a pad fold, so it's a rectangle like probably that big, and then you stuff it in the diaper like you would a regular insert, and I use pocket diapers. So I started doing that, and I really like the flats because they dry so fast. And honestly, I think they, at this point, they're about as useful. At this point, they're about as useful to me as the hemp inserts because our daughter is older now. She's almost a year and a half at this point, and she's flooding her diapers. So instead of just kind of trickling every now and then, like she pees, she holds it and then she'll pee all at once. So what it does is it leaks out the leg holes where the seams are. So at this point, like, the hemp is not made to suck things up right away. It's made to like suck it up little by little and then just hold on to it. So at this point, the flats are working really well because they can handle that flooding, I think, a little better than the hemp. But that being said, after about 3 hours, I can pretty much guarantee on leaks, no matter how I put together the diaper. So usually I have to change her about 2.5 hours, which is getting kind of annoying. So I'm looking forward to potty training. I listened to an audiobook called Oh Crap Potty Training, and it was really good, I thought. And this lady, she advocates starting potty training between 20 and 30 months. So our daughter is 18 months now, so I'm kind of, really looking forward to that point in time where we can start not doing diapers anymore. That being said, I don't think I'll be able to stop buying disposable diapers. We have been using disposables at night because, like I said, there's just no way for me to put together a diaper that's absorbent enough to handle everything, especially for a whole night. So, we're still going to have to use diapers at nap time and also at night. And I don't think I'll be able to continue using cloth after she's potty trained because you want to have a full load at the very least every 3 days. And if I'm only using 2 diapers a day, it'll take me probably 4 or 5 days to get a full load. So I'm going to have to put up the cloth diapers after we potty train and still keep buying disposables. And we just use the cheapest disposable diapers that I can find because for the few times that we use disposable diapers, I don't mind not having super high quality for her. So that's the diapering update. What else? I started buying some organics, and this was something I had wanted to do at the beginning of the year, and I kind of made it a goal for 2019 to work toward buying more organics. So I've been buying 2 things that are on the Dirty Dozen list: tomatoes and celery. And I haven't tried our tomato paste yet that I bought. It's organic. I'm guessing the taste is pretty much the same. But I did unfortunately notice a difference in the celery. It's just, Okay, so one bunch that I bought from Walmart was just like the whole stalk, and it had, you know, the root ball and everything, just like you would buy at the store. Not the hearts, or not. It wasn't cut any special way. It was just the whole thing, and it was the circumference of the stalks was small, and it was kind of bitter, and I just wasn't super happy with it. So after that, I went back to buying the regular celery for a while. Then last week I was at Kroger, and I wanted to use a coupon that was $4 off $20, so I thought, well, this would be a good time to buy, you know, pay a little more for organic just to get my total up. And I figured by the time I use the coupon, it would probably be the same price as regular produce. So I bought a bag of hearts, and I thought, hey, this is going to be a good deal because it won't have the leaves, it won't have like the root ball thing that you have to cut off. And unfortunately, it had both of those. It was kind of odd. Like, I still had to cut off some of the bottom, and it also still had leaves, so I didn't really have much less waste with the hearts than I did with the whole stalk. And also, it started to go bad a little earlier than my conventional celery did, so I wasn't super happy with that, especially because I paid about twice as much for it. So I'm not, if any of you guys have tips on where I can get some good organic celery, or maybe I'm storing it the wrong way or something, but the first one was bitter and the second one is just kind of like going limp really fast. And maybe that's because I bought a package of hearts. I don't know. So yeah, the celery. I also bought carrots and green onions organic at Kroger because, like I said, I was trying to get my total up. Didn't really notice a difference with those, and I actually picked organic carrots over non-organic carrots because our Kroger didn't have very good conventional carrots. They were skinny and they just looked kind of sad. So in that case, the organic actually looked better than the non-organic. However, carrots aren't on the Dirty Dozen, so I don't really know how much extra value I got from buying organic carrots as opposed to not buying organic carrots. So I did buy some organics this last week on, you know, supposedly our $10 a week budget. I actually went over for the month of February by about $30. The reason being, we did a almost no spend in January. We did spend about $10 at the end of the month for our road trip. So then we got back about the first third of February. We had nothing in the cupboards, almost nothing. I think there's some grits in there and quinoa, but pretty much no meat and pretty much no fruits or no vegetables. So I restocked on a ton of things. I bought a ton of meat, and I actually went over budget in February by $30. So March, I'm going to try to spend less than $100. And I think that's very doable because I just stocked the freezer. But I'm going to try to keep my organic and health food stuff, you know, below our regular budget. And I think I can do it. Really, the longer I do this, I feel like the easier it gets. And so I know this was kind of short, but really I just don't have much to say today. I tried sitting down and thinking about something to talk about, and nothing really came up this week. So that was just a quick update of random stuff that's going on, stuff that I'm thinking about, reading about. So I guess I will see you all next week.